Okay, let's unpack this. We all been there, right? You dive headfirst into some new diet. Maybe it's hailed as super healthy, maybe a friend looks amazing on it.
Right, you see the results on someone else and think this is it.
Exactly. So you jump in, maybe it's high-carb vegan or super strict keto, or just, the standard advice, tons of whole grains, salads.
You follow the rules perfectly. But here's the thing. For some people, magic. They feel fantastic, energy through the roof, weight loss, glowing skin.
But then you try it, and it's the total opposite.
Yeah. Suddenly you're bloated, you're dragging, always hungry, like maybe that brain fog hits. Just feeling awful.
It's so frustrating because the advice seems solid, it works for millions, but somehow it's just failing you.
And that's the core problem our sources are tackling today. They point fingers at, well, decades of this single script. A universal plan.
For 50 years, pretty much. Eat less fat, more whole grains, limit red meat, that kind of thing.
Like we're all built exactly the same, running on identical factory settings.
Which obviously we're not.
And that's the fundamental flaw. The reason that standard advice just doesn't land for huge numbers of people. It's simple, really, but profound. Your body is not your friend's body.
We've been using population averages.
Expecting individual perfect results, it ignores the unique blueprint, the code written right into your genes.
Which leads us right into today's topic. This explosive era of hyper-personalized health.
Moving past the guesswork.
Straight into DNA-based personalized nutrition, Nutrigenomics. We're talking about ending that endless cycle of trying diet after diet.
And actually starting to listen to your own biology.
Yes.
Specifically, we're digging into a really focused experiment, the 10-day Personalized Nutrition Challenge.
Okay, so what's our mission for this deep dive?
We want to explore the science, the how behind nutrigenomics. Which specific genes are pulling the strings when it comes to processing fats, carbs, even caffeine?
And then walk through what actually happens day by day.
Exactly. The physical shifts,
Yeah.
mental clarity, even emotional changes you can expect. From day 1, when you start aligning your food with your genes, right through day 10.
So by the end, you'll understand why people are calling this maybe the most powerful tool yet for unlocking your body's real potential. Okay, so let's start with why the generic diet script is fundamentally broken. Statistically. It's interesting, right? We hear all the time that humans share 99.9% of their DNA.
Right. Sounds like we should all thrive on the same bowl of oatmeal.
Exactly. So why doesn't the simple eat more fiber, less sugar rule work universally?
Well, that's where the power of genomics really shines.
Yeah.
Our sources emphasize that the tiny 0.1% difference. It sounds small, but it translates to millions of genetic variations. Millions.
Okay, millions. That sounds more significant.
It is. And these variations, called SNPs, or single nucleotide polymorphisms, they affect crucial biochemical pathways. Things like how well you absorb vitamin D, how you metabolize different types of fats.
How your body handles insulin.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or even how sensitive your brain is to stimulants like caffeine.
And suddenly, yeah, the failure of a generic plan makes total sense. That 0.1% explains all those weird contradictions we see.
Like why one person can slam an espresso at 8 p.m. and sleep like a baby.
While someone else has 1 cup at lunch and they're wired, anxious, staring at the ceiling all night.
Exactly. It's often down to a specific gene variant, like CYP1A2, which controls caffeine metabolism speed.
And what about those twin studies? Those are wild.
They really are. You have identical twins, 100% the same DNA, put them on the exact same low-fat diet, same exercise routine. One twin might gain a lot of weight.
While the other one loses weight on the same plan.
It happens. And that tells us something crucial. It's not just the DNA sequence you inherit. It's also about how your body uses that DNA. What signals it's getting.
Okay, that's the perfect lead-in to epigenetics. The idea that food isn't just calories. It's information, it's instruction.
It's the ultimate biological control system. Epigenetics literally means above the gene. It's about the chemical tags that tell your genes whether to switch on or off without changing the underlying DNA code.
And our choices are flipping those switches.
Your diet, your stress levels, your sleep, toxins in your environment, they're all sending signals. Think of it like this. You might have a gene variant that slightly increases your risk for high blood pressure.
Okay.
But if you eat a diet rich in specific nutrients, manage stress, stay active, those positive lifestyle factors can send epigenetic signals that essentially tell that risky gene to stay quiet. You can often bypass the inherited predisposition.
So let's nail down the definition. Personalized nutrition or nutrigenomics. It's obviously way more than just counting calories or macros.
So completely. It moves way beyond that simple arithmetic. Nutrigenomics asks the fundamental question generic diets ignore. How does my unique body, my specific genetic makeup, respond to this specific food?
And how does it figure that out? What's the data?
It relies on synthesizing information from 3 key data pillars.
Okay, walk us through them.
First, the big one, DNA. This is your stable foundation. It's fixed for life, doesn't change. It reveals your inherent predispositions, your tendencies.
Got it. Pillar 1, DNA.
Pillar 2, the gut microbiome. This is a whole different ecosystem. Trillions of bacteria in your gut, and their composition can change dramatically, sometimes week by week, based on what you're eating right now.
Wow, okay. So much more dynamic.
Very dynamic. And finally, pillar 3, lifestyle. This includes your activity level, sleep patterns, stress exposure, and this can change almost hourly.
So DNA is the stable map, while the microbiome and lifestyle are the real-time traffic conditions.
That's a great analogy. And while you need to manage all 3, the sources really highlight DNA as the most powerful starting point because it's stable. It gives you the foundational rules for your body.
Which brings us to the why now question, because this stuff isn't brand new, but it feels like it's exploding. The sources mention a 2026 tipping point. Why is it suddenly becoming mainstream?
Yeah, it's really about 3 key forces hitting critical mass all at once. First, the obvious one, affordable testing. The cost has just plummeted. You can now get sophisticated at-home DNA kits, analyzing hundreds of thousands of markers for well under $150, sometimes less.
Okay, so access is democratized. Barrier 1 removed.
Right, but then you get this massive data file. What do you do with it? That's where force number 2 comes in. AI-powered interpretation.
Ah, the translation layer.
Exactly. Raw genetic data is incredibly dense, hundreds of pages of scientific markers.
Yeah.
But now, sophisticated AI algorithms can chew through that complexity and translate it into simple, actionable recommendations. Eat more of this, less of that. You don't need a PhD anymore.
That's huge, making it usable for everyday people.
It is. And the third force is just sheer consumer demand. People are tired of confusing, conflicting advice. They want personalized solutions. A 2025 report mentioned in the research found something like 72% of health-conscious adults are willing to share personal data for these kinds of insights.
72%, that's massive. People are ready.
They are. And you can see the evolution. Decades ago, it was all about isolated vitamins, then big population studies like the Mediterranean diet. Now we're in the integration phase. We're combining that stable DNA data with real-time feedback from things like continuous glucose monitors, plus the AI analysis.
Yeah.
It's a whole new level.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this isn't just about diet trends. It's a bigger shift in health itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It represents medicine fundamentally shifting gears, moving away from the reactive model, wait until someone gets sick, then treat the symptom.
To a proactive, preventive model.
Exactly. Using your unique biological blueprint to optimize health before problems start. It stops being about the average person and starts being about what works best, specifically for you.
Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of specific genes, we absolutely have to tackle the biggest myth, the fear factor. The idea that getting your DNA tested means you might find out you have a bad gene and you're just doomed.
Right. That is the most common and frankly damaging misconception out there. It's just not how genetics, especially nutrigenomics, works.
So genes aren't destiny.
Not at all. The core principle here is that genes aren't like simple on-off buttons. Think of them much more like dimmer switches.
Okay, dimmer switches, I like that.
They influence your tendency, your predisposition towards something. Maybe you're slightly more likely to struggle with cholesterol, or maybe you don't process a certain vitamin efficiently. But your diet, your lifestyle choices, that's the hand on the dimmer switch. You are constantly adjusting the gene's expression, its output.
The sources use a really powerful example to illustrate this, almost sci-fi. The agouti mouse experiment. Can you walk us through that? It nails the point about nutrition overweighting genetics.
It's probably the single most elegant demonstration of epigenetics in action. Researchers used genetically identical mice. Every single mouse carried genes that made them highly prone to obesity, diabetes, and cancer. They were, genetically speaking, dealt a bad hand.
Okay, identical mice, identical bad genes.
Exactly. Then they divided the pregnant mother mice into 2 groups. One group got standard lab chow adequate, but not particularly nutrient dense. The other group got the same chow, same calories, but with one key difference: added methyl donors.
Methyl donors, what are those?
There's specific nutrients, things like folate, B12, choline commonly found in foods like leafy greens, beets, eggs, essential for basic cellular processes, including epigenetic marking.
Okay, so one group got plain chow, the other got chow, plus these specific nutrients. What happened to the babies?
The results were visually stunning. The babies whose mothers ate the standard chow, born yellow, obese, quickly developed diabetes and cancer, and had short lifespans, exactly as their genes predicted.
And the other group, the ones whose mothers got the methyl donors.
Totally different outcome. Those babies were born lean, healthy, with brown fur. They lived long, healthy lives, largely free of the diseases they were genetically programmed to get.
Wow, identical DNA, completely different health outcomes, just based on a few nutrients added to the mother's diet.
Precisely. It proves that food isn't just fuel. It sends powerful instructions to your genes, telling them how to behave. It's an instruction manual, not a life sentence.
That is incredible. Okay, so food is an active signal. Let's get into the specifics. Which genes have the biggest impact on our daily diet choices and responses? The actionable ones.
Let's start with a really big one, often linked to weight management struggles. The FTO gene, sometimes called the obesity gene, though that's a bit simplistic.
Right. What does FTO actually control?
It plays a crucial role in regulating appetite, how your body decides to store fat, and even the production of ghrelin, which is your main hunger hormone.
So if you have the risk version of this gene, what does it feel like?
If you carry the risk variant, usually the A allele, so AA or AT genotypes, your brain essentially registers fullness, or satiety, less effectively after eating. You just don't feel as satisfied by the same amount of food as someone without that variant.
Ah, so you're genuinely more prone to overeating or snacking. It's not just willpower.
Exactly. It's a biologically driven tendency. You're fighting a stronger internal signal to keep eating.
So the fix isn't about willpower either. It's about working with that biology.
Precisely. The Nutrigenomic recommendation for FTO risk variants is almost universally to increase protein intake significantly. We're talking 25 to 30% of total daily calories from protein. And critically, aiming for about 30 grams of protein at breakfast.
30 grams at breakfast specifically? Why then?
Research shows that hitting that 30-gram protein mark early in the day gives people with the FTO risk variant a much bigger boost in satiety hormones like PYY and GLP-1. It basically helps turn down that ghrelin hunger signal and makes it significantly easier to manage appetite throughout the day. Those mid-morning cravings often just disappear.
Okay, FTO and protein, makes sense. What's next? Maybe something related to that infamous 3 p.m. energy slump.
Good transition. Let's talk TCF7L2. This is a major gene influencing carbohydrate sensitivity and your risk for type 2 diabetes.
How does it work?
TCF7L2 affects how your pancreas secretes insulin and how sensitive your body's cells are to that insulin. If you have the common risk variant, the T allele, your insulin response tends to be less efficient. Your cells can become resistant over time. This means you don't handle big blood sugar spikes very well.
So for someone with this variant, blindly following the old eat lots of whole grains advice could actually backfire.
It really could, because even whole wheat bread can spike blood sugar pretty quickly. The fix here isn't necessarily keto or zero carb, but adopting a lower glycemic, moderate carb diet.
Meaning?
Focus intensely on true complex carbs, sweet potatoes, quinoa, lentils, berries, non-starchy vegetables, and crucially, always pair those carbs with protein and healthy fat.
Why the pairing?
That protein and fat dramatically slows down how quickly the glucose from the carbs enters your bloodstream. It prevents those sharp spikes and crashes, stabilizes energy, and puts less strain on that genetically weaker insulin pathway.
Okay, managing carbs based on TCF7L2. Now what about fats? Specifically saturated fats, that's always controversial.
Enter the APOA2 gene. This one directly influences how your body responds to saturated fat intake, particularly regarding LDL cholesterol, the bad kind.
How so?
If you have the CC genotype for APOA2, studies show you experience a much more significant increase in LDL cholesterol when you eat a diet high in saturated fats compared to people with other genotypes.
So this explains why my friend can eat steak and butter and have perfect cholesterol, but if I do it, my numbers go through the roof.
That's very often the genetic explanation, yes. It's not fair, but it's biology.
So what's the advice for the CC folks? Avoid all fat.
Not at all. It's about being smart about the types of fat. The recommendation is to be mindful of saturated fat sources like fatty meats, butter, coconut oil, and consciously balance or replace them with unsaturated fats. Think olive oil, avocados, nuts, seeds. It allows you to stop fighting your biology and just choose the fats your body handles better.
Let's shift gears to something millions consume daily. Caffeine, the CYP1A2 gene. I have a feeling this explains a lot for people.
Oh, absolutely. This gene codes for the primary enzyme your liver uses to break down caffeine. There are two main versions, fast metabolizer and slow metabolizer.
And if you're a slow metabolizer, usually the AA genotype.
Your body clears caffeine much more slowly. That means the effects, the jitters, the anxiety, the sleep disruption last longer and can be more intense. For slow metabolizers, studies even link higher caffeine intake, more than 2 cups a day, to an increased risk of heart issues.
So they're the ones who feel shaky and anxious after coffee.
Typically, yes. And the fix is wonderfully simple.
Limit the intake.
Exactly. Limit coffee to maybe 1 small cup and have it before noon. Or switch to green tea, which has less caffeine and also contains L-theanine, which can be calming. Or just go decaf. Fast metabolizers, on the other hand, can often drink coffee later in the day with 0 problems. It's pure personalization.
Okay, we absolutely have to cover MTHFR. It sounds complicated, but it affects so many people and impacts things like mood and heart health.
It's incredibly important. And the common C677T variant affects a huge portion of the population, maybe 40% or more to some degree. This gene variation reduces the efficiency of an enzyme needed to convert folate from food, or the synthetic form folic acid, into the active form your body actually uses, called methylfolate.
And the reduction can be significant, right?
Up to 70% reduced efficiency in some cases if you have 2 copies of the variant. This means if you have this variant, you simply cannot effectively use the synthetic folic acid that's added to fortified breads, cereals, and many standard multivitamins.
That's a huge problem considering how common fortification is.
It is. For people with MTHFR variants, that unusable folic acid can actually build up in the bloodstream, potentially causing other issues, while their body remains functionally deficient in the active folate it needs for critical processes like methylation, DNA repair, and neurotransmitter synthesis.
So what's the fix? It sounds crucial.
2 key things. First, prioritize consuming natural folate from whole foods. Think leafy greens like spinach and kale, lentils, asparagus, broccoli. Second, if you supplement, it's essential to avoid supplements containing synthetic folic acid, and instead choose those with the active methylated forms like L-methylfolate or 5-MTHF, and often a methylated B complex. This bypasses the genetic bottleneck.
Okay, MTHFR and methylated B vitamins, got it. What about essential fats, omega-3s? You mentioned FADS1.
Yes, the FADS1 gene controls how efficiently your body converts the plant-based omega-3 fatty acid, alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, found in things like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts, into the longer chain, more biologically active forms, EPA and DHA, which are crucial for brain health, heart health, and reducing inflammation.
And some people are just bad at that conversion.
Very much so. If you have the common T allele variant of FADS1, your conversion rate can be up to 50% less efficient.
So just eating flax seeds might not be enough for potentially half the population to get the EPA and DHA they need.
Exactly. For this large group, relying solely on plant sources means they might not be getting optimal levels of these critical fats. The clear dietary fix is to prioritize preformed EPA and DHA. Meaning fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring several times a week, or for vegetarians or those who don't eat fish, using a high-quality algae-based DHA supplement. It skips the inefficient conversion step altogether.
Makes sense. Focus on the end product. Okay, maybe a couple more quick ones that impact daily digestion and comfort.
Sure. LCT, the gene for lactase persistence, basically determines if you can digest lactose, milk sugar, as an adult. Genetically speaking, lactose intolerance is the norm for most adults worldwide after infancy.
So if you have the non-persistence variant?
Stop fighting it. Trying to push through the bloating, gas, and discomfort isn't worth it. Choose lactose-free dairy or the wide variety of plant-based alternatives available now.
Simple enough. And AMY1, starch digestion.
AMY1 determines how many copies you have of the gene that produces salivary amylase, the enzyme that starts breaking down starch in your mouth. Some people have many copies, some have very few.
And fewer copies means?
Less efficient starch digestion. If you have low AMY1 copies, you'll likely feel much better, less bloating, more stable energy on a diet that's lower in starchy foods like bread, pasta, rice, and potatoes, and higher in vegetables, protein, and healthy fats. Match your carb intake to your digestive capacity.
Okay, last couple, maybe less common, but still important. You mentioned PEMT and choline and GSTT1 for detox.
Yes. The PEMT gene variation is more common in women and significantly increases the dietary need for choline. Choline is vital for liver function, brain health, cell membranes, and methylation. If you have this variant, you really need to consciously include choline-rich foods daily.
Like what?
Eggs are the superstar here. Aim for at least 2 yolks a day. Liver is also excellent. If you don't get enough choline with this variant, you're more prone to fatty liver disease and other issues.
Got it. Eggs for PEMT and a GSTT1.
GSTT1 is part of the glutathione transferase family of enzymes, crucial for phase 2 detoxification, basically, helping your body neutralize and eliminate toxins. A significant portion of the population has a null or deleted version of this gene.
Meaning they're just less good at detoxing certain things.
Essentially, yes. They have a reduced capacity to clear out certain environmental toxins, chemicals, even some metabolic byproducts. The fix isn't a harsh detox kit, but consistent dietary support.
How?
By regularly eating foods that support other detox pathways, especially cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. They contain compounds like sulforaphane that boost other detoxification enzymes, helping to compensate for the GSTT1 deletion.
Wow. Okay, this detailed breakdown, it really hammers home the difference between this personalized approach and the old recommended dietary allowances, the RDAs.
Completely. RDAs are essential public health tools designed to prevent deficiency in the average person.
Yeah.
But they're based on population averages. Take vitamin C. The RDA is around 90 milligrams for men. But genetic variations in absorption and transport mean some people might only need 45 milligrams to reach optimal blood levels, while others, maybe with different variants or higher needs due to MTHFR, might need over 200 milligrams to achieve the same protective level in their body.
So Nutrigenomics turns it from population guesswork into precise individual science.
Exactly. Targeted, measurable, and based on your biology.
Okay, we've got the science down, the specific genes, the mechanisms. Now let's talk about the actual experience. What happens when someone stops fighting their biology and actually eats according to their genetic blueprint for just 10 days? The sources suggest the changes aren't subtle or slow, they're pretty immediate.
They really are, often shockingly fast, partly because you're immediately removing foods that might be causing low-grade chronic inflammation or digestive distress for your specific system. We can break down that 10-day journey into roughly 3 phases.
Okay, let's start with phase 1, days 1 to 3, the metabolic reset. This sounds like the initial shock to the system, maybe, the adjustment period.
Yeah, it's the onboarding phase. The body's adjusting to potentially a very different fuel mix and the removal of things it might have relied on, even if they weren't optimal. The 2 biggest immediate changes people report are dramatically more stable blood sugar and a significant reduction in bloating and digestive upset.
That quick, within 3 days.
Often, yes. Especially if you've eliminated a major genetic trigger like lactose for someone with LCT intolerance, or maybe refined sugars and flours for someone with TCF7L2 sensitivity. The gut just breathes a sigh of relief. One study mentioned from 2024 in Nutrients found that 68% of participants reported noticeable improvements in digestion within just 3 days on a DNA-matched plan.
68%, okay. Are there any initial downsides, like withdrawal?
There can be some mild temporary adjustments. You might see some initial water weight loss, which is usually just the body shedding retained fluid as you cut down on processed foods and maybe excess carbs. And yeah, if you've been heavily reliant on sugar or caffeine, you cut back sharply based on your genes, you might get a mild headache or feel a bit sluggish on day 1, like a mini flu.
But that passes quickly.
Usually by day 2. And the consistent feedback is that by the end of day 2 or day 3, the mental fog starts to lift significantly. The brain is finally getting a steady supply of clean, appropriate fuel.
Let's use one of our examples. Sarah with the FTO gene variant, prone to hunger. What did day 1-3 feel like for her?
For Sarah, the source material highlighted that implementing the 30-gram protein breakfast was key. That constant internal battle, that gnawing hunger driven by her genetics, it started to subside almost immediately. Her usual 11 a.m. craving for something sweet, gone by the afternoon of day 2. That immediate relief is a powerful motivator. It flips the script from feeling deprived to feeling empowered.
Okay, moving into phase 2, days 4 through 7, the energy and clarity surge. This sounds like where things really start humming.
This is where the benefits become undeniable. The main expectation here is sustained energy. That dreaded 3 p.m. slump. It just doesn't happen for most people. They report steady energy levels they haven't felt in years.
What's happening internally to cause that?
Several things. Stable blood sugar is huge.
Yeah.
But also, by around day 5, neurotransmitter balance often improves. Your body is getting the right building blocks, amino acids from protein, good fats to produce dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine more effectively. This leads to sharper focus, better concentration.
And inflammation starts to cool down.
Definitely. Systemic inflammation markers often show measurable drops. One study pointed to a 23% reduction in C-reactive protein, CRP, a key inflammation marker, after just 1 week on a personalized anti-inflammatory diet tailored to genetics.
And what does that feel like in the real world? Less inflammation?
Less joint achiness, maybe faster recovery after exercise, clearer skin starting to emerge, and definitely contributes to that improved mental clarity. The brain fog isn't just lifting, the skies are clearing.
And the emotional side. Let's bring back Mark, our slow caffeine metabolizer, CYP1A2. What happened for him around day 4-7?
Mark's case was classic. He suffered from that persistent afternoon anxiety, that low-level buzz of jitteriness. Perfect symptom profile for a slow caffeine metabolizer overloading their system. By simply following the genetic advice, cutting down to 1 small coffee before noon, the sources said his chronic anxiety vanished by day 5.
Wow, just from adjusting coffee intake based on one gene.
Exactly. He wasn't taking medication, he just removed the biological stressor his body couldn't handle efficiently. So typically in this phase, sharper focus, much calmer mood, deeper, more restful sleep starting to kick in.
Okay, sounds amazing. Finally, phase 3, days 8 to 10, the deep reset and optimization. What happens here? We're moving beyond just feeling better day to day.
Yeah, this is where the body starts shifting from immediate relief to deeper repair and optimization. The changes become more visible externally. People often report clearer skin, sleep quality becomes consistently deeper and more restorative, and something interesting happens with cravings.
They diminish.
Significantly. The brain's reward pathways start to reset. Those old go-to comfort foods, which might have been genetically inflammatory or disruptive, lose their appeal because your body is experiencing how much better it runs on the right fuel. It starts to prefer feeling good.
And the science backs this up with longer-term results linked to even short interventions like this.
Absolutely. The evidence is compelling. A major meta-analysis, I think it was in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, pooled data from multiple studies. It found that people following DNA-matched diets consistently lost 2 to 3 times more weight compared to people on standard generic diets, even when calories were matched.
2 to 3 times more weight, just by matching food to genes.
Yes, and they also saw significantly greater improvements in insulin sensitivity. It underscores that the type and quality of fuel tailored to your biology matters far more than just the raw calorie count.
And this 10-day period, it creates a kind of a memory, a new baseline.
The research calls it establishing metabolic memory. Your body recalibrates its expectations. The positive epigenetic shifts start to stabilize. And this has real long-term implications for prevention. One study showed people who maintained DNA-aligned eating habits had a 32% lower risk of developing prediabetes a year later.
32% lower risk, that's substantial.
It is. You're shifting the body from just coping day to day towards genuine optimization and long-term disease prevention. It sets a powerful foundation.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly promising, potentially life-changing, but how does someone actually start? Step 1 has to be getting the right data. The market's flooded with DNA tests now. How do you pick one that gives you reliable, usable, nutrigenomic insights, not just ancestry?
That's a critical first step. You need to be discerning. Look for tests specifically designed for nutrition and wellness that analyze a decent number of relevant genes, ideally at least 15 to 20 key nutrition-related SNPs. And, crucially, they must provide clear, evidence-based food and lifestyle recommendations, not just hand you a file full of raw data.
Any specific companies the sources mentioned as reputable?
Several came up. Nutrigenomics is often cited as a sort of gold standard, frequently used by registered dietitians and healthcare professionals, known for its strong scientific backing. DNAfit is popular, especially for those interested in optimizing fitness alongside nutrition. And then there are services like Genopalette, which can sometimes take existing raw data from tests like 23andMe or Ancestry DNA and provide specific food recommendations and even recipes based on that data.
What are the key things to look for, regardless of the company, to suss out quality?
3 main things. First, clinical validation. Check if their gene interpretations and recommendations are based on solid, peer-reviewed scientific research. Do they cite their sources? Avoid purely proprietary algorithms with no transparency.
Okay, science first. What else?
Second, actionability. The report needs to be practical. Does it clearly tell you what to eat more of, what to limit, and why based on your specific genotype? Vague advice like, eat healthy fats isn't helpful. It needs to be specific.
Right, needs to lead to actual changes. And third,
and this is non-negotiable, a rock-solid privacy policy. You need to understand exactly how your genetic data will be stored, protected, and used. Who has access? Can it be sold? Read the fine print carefully. And, as a general rule, be wary of any test-making, over-the-top claims about curing diseases or guaranteeing results. It's a tool for optimization, not magic.
okay, so you get the report back. It might be pretty dense. How do you translate that into an actual 10-day eating plan without getting overwhelmed?
Good question. The key is to prioritize. Don't try to change everything overnight based on 20 different gene reports. Start by identifying your top 3 priorities.
How do you pick those?
Look for the genetic variants with the strongest scientific evidence behind them, and focus on those likely to give you the biggest subjective improvement quickly. Things like known issues with carb sensitivity, TCF7L2, caffeine metabolism, CYP1A2, lactose intolerance, LCT, or maybe appetite regulation, FTO. Tackling those first often yields the most noticeable results.
And then you mentioned looking for synergies. How does that work?
Synergy is when multiple genetic findings point towards the same dietary strategy. For example, maybe your report shows you have the risk variant for TCF7L2 making you carb sensitive, and the risk variant for FTO affecting satiety.
Okay.
Both of those genetic predispositions are best managed by reducing refined carbs and increasing protein. So the synergy between those two results makes a lower carb, higher protein approach a really strong, high-priority strategy for you. It reinforces the recommendation.
Let's make this super concrete. Walk us through a couple of quick sample profiles and the immediate action plan for the 10-day challenge. Case 1. Someone is carb sensitive, TCS7L2 risk, and also a poor omega-3 converter, FADS1 risk.
Okay, great example. 2 clear targets. Manage blood sugar and boost active omega-3s. For the 10 days, their action plan is start every day with a high-protein breakfast, maybe a veggie omelet with avocado. Absolutely prioritize fatty fish like salmon or mackerel at least 3 to 4 times in those 10 days, or take an algae supplement daily to bypass the poor FADS1 conversion. Strictly eliminate refined grains, white bread, pasta, and sugary drinks. Focus carbs on small servings of low GI options like berries or lentils, always paired with protein fat. Healthy fats like olive oil and walnuts are key.
Very targeted. Okay, case 2. Someone finds out they're lactose intolerant, LCT non-persistent, and also have a high choline need, PEMT variant. Different profile entirely.
Totally different, requiring different actions. For their 10-day challenge, Action 1 is simple but strict. Completely avoid all dairy products. No milk, cheese, yogurt, hidden away in processed foods. This targets the LCT intolerance directly to calm digestion. Action 2 targets the PEMT variant. Make a point to eat eggs almost daily, aiming for 2 or 3 yolks as they're packed with choline. Also include cruciferous vegetables like broccoli or kale frequently to support liver function, which is linked to choline metabolism. Their menu might feature things like baked salmon, chicken stir-fries with lots of veggies, lentil soup, eggs for breakfast, smoothies with almond milk. It's a precise plan hitting their specific genetic needs.
And the last piece of this action plan for the challenge itself, about tracking results. Why is that so important?
It's arguably the most empowering part. It moves this from theory to your reality. Keep it simple. Use a notebook or an app. Rate 5 things daily on a 1 to 10 scale. Energy level, digestion, bloating comfort, mood, sleep quality, and cravings.
Just those 5.
That's usually enough to see clear patterns emerge over 10 days. When you look back at your scores from day 1 versus day 10, and you see your energy went from a 4 to an 8, and bloating went from a 7 to a 2, that's irrefutable proof for yourself about what works for your body. That clarity provides powerful motivation to stick with the changes that made a difference.
The sources also shared some really compelling case studies. Real people, real results. Can you share a couple?
Yeah, the outcomes really illustrate the power of precision. There was Sarah, 34. For years, she'd battled chronic brain fog, couldn't focus, always tired in the afternoons, and couldn't lose weight despite trying healthy diets. Her report flagged the FTO appetite and TCF7L2 carb sensitivity variants.
So she implemented the high-protein breakfast, lower glycemic carbs.
Exactly. Within weeks, the brain fog lifted, her energy stabilized. Over about 6 months, she lost 18 pounds almost effortlessly. But she said the biggest win was finally being able to focus at work all day. It changed her career trajectory.
Amazing. And David, 48. His story was about reversing metabolic issues.
Classic prediabetes case. High blood sugar, high cholesterol, carrying extra weight. His report showed significant genetic insulin resistance and also the FADS1 poor omega-3 conversion. He shifted to a higher fat, good fats, moderate protein, lower carb diet, and started supplementing with high-quality fish oil.
And the results?
Almost immediate. His fasting blood sugar dropped 15 points in just 3 days. That's how quickly the body can respond when you remove the metabolic stress. Over the following year, by sticking to that genetically aligned plan, he completely reversed his prediabetes diagnosis, naturally.
15 points in 3 days is stunning. Okay, one more, Maria, 29, who had terrible IBS for years.
Maria's story highlighted how genetics can solve mysteries that conventional approaches miss. She'd suffered from debilitating IBS symptoms for 7 years, tried elimination diets, medications. Nothing provided lasting relief.
What did her DNA show?
2 key things. severe LCT intolerance, meaning she couldn't digest lactose at all, and the MTHFR variant affecting folate metabolism and potentially gut health.
So the action plan was?
Completely eliminate all dairy, even tiny hidden amounts, and switch to a methylated B-complex supplement to support her MTHFR pathway. Within 2 months, her IBS symptoms, which had plagued her for nearly a decade, were virtually gone.
Wow, 7 years of misery solved by understanding 2 gene variants.
It just shows how powerful this personalized knowledge can be. It gets to the root cause for that individual.
Okay, we've painted a really compelling picture of nutrigenomics as this powerful, precise tool, but we need that dose of realism. Let's talk limitations. What can DNA-based nutrition not do?
Absolutely crucial point. The sources are clear. This is a highly valuable tool, but it's not a magic wand. It is absolutely not a replacement for standard medical care, especially if you have an active diagnosed disease. Your doctor needs to be involved.
Okay, not a substitute for medicine. What else?
Its insights are inherently limited because, remember, DNA is only one of the 3 pillars. It doesn't give you the real-time status of your gut microbiome. That's a whole separate dynamic ecosystem that ideally needs its own testing and management.
Right. DNA is the blueprint, microbiome is the current occupants.
Good way to put it. And maybe the biggest limitation. It doesn't override the fundamentals of a healthy lifestyle.
Meaning?
You can have the most perfectly genetically matched diet plan on paper. But if you're chronically stressed out, sleeping only 4 hours a night, never exercising, and maybe smoking, you're still going to undermine your health.
The best food plan can't fix everything else.
Exactly. The genetic insights give you the optimal playbook for nutrition, but you still need to manage stress, prioritize sleep, and move your body. Those factors send powerful epigenetic signals too, and if they're negative, they can counteract the benefits of the diet. It all has to work together.
And what's fascinating here, going back to that core misconception, we really need to keep hammering this home. My genes determine my fate is just wrong.
It's the old, outdated deterministic view. The reality, shown by agouti mice and countless human studies, is that genes load the gun, but environment and lifestyle pull the trigger. Genes influence tendencies, but your choices, informed by this knowledge, determine the outcome via epigenetics. You're constantly influencing how your genes are expressed.
So the warning then is be skeptical of.
Be highly skeptical of any test, product, or service making exaggerated claims, promising to cure disease, guarantee effortless weight loss, or provide definitive answers based only on genetics. It's about informed optimization, risk reduction, and prevention, not miracle cures.
Okay, let's look forward now. The sources pointed to that 2026 tipping point and beyond. Where is this tech heading? What's the future look like?
Integration seems to be the key word. We're seeing rapid advances in AI-powered meal planning becoming much more sophisticated. Imagine apps that don't just know your DNA profile, but also integrate with your calendar, your smartwatch data, activity levels, sleep, maybe even local grocery store sales.
To generate hyper-personalized meal plans, recipes, and shopping lists automatically.
Exactly. Taking the thinking and planning burden off the user, making it incredibly easy to eat optimally for your biology day in, day out.
And what about supplements? That seems ripe for personalization.
Completely. The era of generic multivitamins is likely numbered. We'll see the rise of truly personalized supplements. Companies formulating vitamin D doses based specifically on your VDR or GC gene variants. B complexes containing only methylated forms if your MTHFR status requires it. Omega-3 supplements tailored based on your FADS1 conversion efficiency. Much more targeted, less waste, higher efficacy.
And this won't stay niche for long, based on the projections.
Not at all. The adoption curve looks steep. That Global Wellness Institute prediction is pretty bold. By 2030, they expect 80% of adults globally will be using some form of personalized nutrition or health insight technology.
80%, that's mainstream.
It signifies a fundamental shift. Moving away from reactive symptom management and temporary diet fads towards a lifelong, proactive, scientifically personalized approach focused squarely on maximizing health span and preventing chronic disease. It's becoming the new standard. Hashtag outro.
So what does this all really mean for you listening right now? This 10-day challenge idea, or just adopting these principles? It really feels like a kind of homecoming, like returning to the biological truth your body has held all along.
Yeah, it's about clearing the noise.
Exactly. By honoring that unique genetic blueprint, even for a short time, you cut through all the conflicting marketing hype, you break free from the confusion and frustration of generic diets that didn't work for you, and you potentially step into a level of energy, clarity, and just well-being that you might not have known was even possible for you.
It means the perfect diet isn't hiding in some magazine or being pushed by the latest celebrity trend. It's been inside you the whole time, written in your DNA. Personalized nutrition is really the key to unlocking your body's unique potential for feeling good and staying healthy long-term.
The deepest learning, the most sustainable changes. They don't come from following rigid external rules, that one-size-fits-all script.
No, they come from listening to the targeted science written right into your own biology.
So now that you have this concept, this powerful blueprint, now that you understand what some of your unique genetic strengths and maybe weaknesses might lie, the final question, the provocative thought for you to take away is,
What is the first small genetic tendency, maybe a weakness you've struggled with, that you will now choose consciously to turn into a foundational strength using this knowledge?